Hello and welcome back. Today we are looking at the Telos Boltor. Now I've actually had to go over this weapon where originally I had it formed very similar to my Boltor Prime, which hasn't actually changed. But the Telos Boltor, I noticed something quite unique about it. Well, it's reworked since the weapon reworks. We're going through quite a lot of them actually, but this is one of the few ones that's generally just really stuck with me, quite simply because Soma Prime is considered to be one of the best assault rifles in the game. It's got a pretty good stats chance and a pretty good critical multiplier. The downside being it had relatively-ish low damage. However, Telos Boltor is now in some sense better. For example, let's just go over Soma Prime quickly. We have a 30% critical chance, a ×3 critical multiplier, a 10% status chance, but its overall damage is 12, and half of that is slash. So it does have quite a bit of DPS due to those slash procs that you could potentially get, but it's 12 damage. It's also got a 1-point Riven disposition, so Rivens for it aren't really too great. Now, let's go to Telos Boltor. We have a total damage of 30, so already we're ahead of the game. A critical chance of 30%, so we're equal. Critical multiplier of 2.4, so we've dropped a little bit but not too much, and a 16% status chance, and a 2-point Riven disposition. Now this might not sound too great, but it's puncture based, so against your high armoured enemies this is going to be absolutely great. You have the exact same critical chance, slightly lower critical multiplier, but you make up for that for the extra 18 points of damage, and with some modding that will easily outdo Soma Prime at base. Along with more status chance, you're just having so much more of an interesting time, along with the innate truth effect, which is always useful as it is 1000 damage. It is gas, so it might not be considered to be the best element, particularly in this fashion, but it's 1000 damage extra that you were not dishing out beforehand. Now the buff from it isn't as handy. It basically just boosts all parkour maneuvers for 30 seconds, so probably a little bit of healing or a little bit of the old energy regain would be a little bit better in this instance, but you can't really complain with an extra 1000 damage. Now the part where this weapon does actually drop off is obviously it's not hit scan, it has projectile flight speed. The reload speed is a little bit on the low side, it's 2.4 seconds, and it isn't actually that ammo efficient, but it does hit like an absolute truck. It is pretty darn brutal overall, and just honestly I'm actually genuinely quite enjoying this weapon right now. It is really fun to use, particularly if you do like your ARs. I would actually say this is a contender for the best AR in the game right now. There are a few others that do creep just past it, but being that this is quite easily gotten through syndicates, that's probably another downside. Although it is easily gotten, it does require a little bit of grinding to get it from Arbiters of Hexes, because you do have to be max rank and it will cost you 125,000 standing. So not only do you have to grind up the points to get it, obviously you've got to give them things like random chassis and helmets, neuroptics rather, or systems. They want different things as you level them up to progress to the next level. So that can be a little bit of a ball ache, but it's something to work towards, and definitely easily gotten. Quite cheap as well if you wish to buy with platinum from other players, and generally is actually a really fun weapon overall, and honestly I recommend it quite thoroughly now. It's quite enjoyable. So the build, I've actually messed around with this quite a few times, checking out different things, because I do have a Riven, and if you're not using a Riven I recommend going for Vigilante armaments, but for the meantime Serration, a Riven if you have it, Split Chamber, Vital Sense, Point Strike, Infected Clip, Stormbringer, and just because you can crit Hunter munitions. Like I said, if you don't have a Riven, go with Vigilante armaments just to get your crit up a little bit, because that will buff your crit as well as your multi-shot, just to help bolster that overall damage. Anyway, thank you very much. That's me, and I'll catch you guys pretty darn soon. Ta-ra!